And then we're back with Jeremy talking about the upcoming album.
Oh,
Which
what? There's a new record?
I think so. I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, well, good sources.
Oh
You're a
yeah.
good detective out here, both of you.
Oh, thank you. I
Um,
believe it's coming out on the 28th.
the 28th
It's called "We Were Trying to Make It Out."
is cool. We were trying to make it out. That is 100% correct. I need to say that album name as many times as possible because it's the least catchy album name of all time. But we
Oh,
were trying to make it out. Once people understand the sentiments behind it, though, then it'll make sense,
that's actually leading on to the first question, Jeremy. Is there an ultimate story behind the band name? I mean, the album name.
Well, I mean, we were trying to make it out as like, it's an aspirational title and it's the reason for why, you do anything you do or you make any of the sacrifices you make in your life. So, there's times in your life where you really have a big dream and you're like, you'll do anything to make it happen, which includes, if you're hustling multiple jobs, trying to make a buck, you're sacrificing sleep for it. You're drinking way too much coffee so you can power on. Maybe other vices in the mix, whatever's going on, but um, yeah, it's just about that. It's kind of just about the reasoning for why you might butcher yourself trying to make something happen. So
Mm.
the way we're trying to make it out is like, well, you know, maybe if I try really hard, I could get out of the working class. That kind of mentality,
Okay.
like, but you
Mm.
can't get out. You just end up looking tired from all the time you put into it. So
Sounds really uplifting, dude.
yeah, it's terribly uplifting. But no, I just think it's that. It's just like, and everyone does it. You
Yeah,
end up
for
putting
sure.
in a lot of time, and a lot of headspace, and a lot of sacrifice into anything you really want to do, right?
Mm.
And it's detrimental to you in ways, but you were trying to do something good with your life.
So does it kind of feel like it's written in retrospect, or does it kind of feel like it's framed in character?
I think it is written in retrospect in a lot of ways because it's kind of like I looked over my life over the last 10 years. Because I'm very happy with where I am in my life now, but I think I looked back at the journey and I was like, oh, I did not treat myself with kindness in a lot of
Mm.
that. And so it was supposed to be kind of like a more of a empathetic letter to myself or to anybody else
Okay.
who's doing the same kind of thing,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
But you don't, when you're in it, you're just reacting or whatever. And it's not till you get a bit of space, which essentially was being in New York, I think, was the big thing. It was like I could kind of stop and see my life from a bird's eye perspective. And I was like, oh, you're just not treating yourself right. And is any of this really worth it? Why would you sacrifice so much and make your life more difficult than it needs to be?
Mm.
Yeah, that
And
Yeah.
that leads on to another question later. Sorry, Callan, you want to say something?
I was just about to say exactly that. You keep giving us some incredible segues, Jeremy.
Hey, just that segues aren't just for riding.
Right?
Yeah.
Back in 2017, you were awarded the Grant McLennan Scholarship, which of course took you to New York City for a few months. How did that help craft the record? Besides giving you another perspective.
Yeah, I think it was just that it was the ability to kind of like stop and think about what I wanted to say, as
Mm.
opposed to other times where I would just be like, I'm feeling this way on a certain day. I'm going to write this song, and then I'm just going to like throw everything together into a record. And it was kind of like, well, what are the big things for me? What do I really want to do, and what do I want to say in this record? If this is the last record I ever put out, is it going to be like a cohesive and like not? I wouldn't say a bold statement, but an important statement.
Mm.
Um, and important only for a certain subset of people who are living a similar life, but important nonetheless because if I don't say those sentiments, who will say those sentiments? Um, and so, yeah, it was just the big things that were for me was just like the kind of like existentialism of like how much of my life has passed by already. Um, yeah, that way, as I said before, like how I've treated myself over the time and like, the need for self kindness. Um, and what else my prevalent themes were in there. I guess, yeah, it's just that aspirational thing as well. Like, you know, you've got this goal. Maybe you'll never make it. Is that okay? You
Mm.
know.
I have a little question about New York.
Mm.
What did you see in those 3 months there that was most similar aspect of the scene there, or even just the city? And what was the most contrasting to being back in Brisbane?
I think contrasting is just. I mean, it's just the general vibe. It's a bit more of a business city, so people that you were meeting casually, like as in like people you would like, like I feel like if I go to like a cafe here, I'm very welcomed and like there's a big how's it going kind of thing. And I feel like maybe there was it's a bit more businessy. It's like, hey, what do you want? That was just like the
It's like, hey, what do you want?
yeah, but that grinds you down. Like it's so minor, but it grinds you down over a period of time because I just really wanted the general friendliness that we have here. And like you notice it as soon as you come back through customs even. They're like, g'day mate, get in here. Like welcome back, buddy. And I just miss that. And like I made a really nice group of friends over there. There was a few New York locals, but a lot of them were from other places as well. And so that was a nice core group to, keep the friendliness in the mix. But I just found it was those day-to-day kind of how's it goings that we're missing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Fair. And did you actually start writing the record there?
I had started writing the record before I left.
Okay.
And then I wrote more songs while I was there and then finished it there. So
and what was the first song written for this record?
First song written is, I don't know what track it is on the record, but it's a song called The Strength to Carry. Okay. And I just had this riff and I was like, oh, this is, I don't know, I just know this is going to be the basis of what this record's going to be. Because that, once again, it was that kind of stoicism thing. It's that like, kind of dragging yourself around to get things done,
Have your musical influences changed much since you've been working on getting the team back together?
Yeah.
Since working on that, sorry.
I think, well, I mean, new information comes in, but it's more just like affirmation of the stuff I already like, Like, I guess I have found myself in a rut. I just get better at doing the thing it is that I do, or a bit better at making it authentically me is the thing that's kind of come over time, as opposed to like, in my mind at least, like blatantly ripping things off. Now it's just like, well, everything kind of like starts and is generated from within, and then is a pretty pure representation of my sound, I guess. Yeah.
Your new album, We Were Trying to Make It Out, consists of 8 tracks. Were there many written for the album which didn't quite make the cut?
Yeah, there were a few, because I had this like list of like especially when I was overseas, and I had this like book. Everything I was working on. It was kind of like a list of all these potential songs, and there was also like this list of like things you could write, or what about this? And so it just ended up being that the songs that I chose were the ones that were like most thematically consistent and said something of value. There are other ones that I was like, oh, this is a great hook, but I can't see how it fits in the record. And I also like the idea of like succinctness as well, because like, especially now listening, I find it quite hard to get through, an 11 plus track record. I think 8 is a really nice kind of succinct way to do it.
Were you inspired by the Don, perhaps?
I loved the Don's approach. I was also, when I was like, can I do an 8-track record? I was looking back through like my record collection and just seeing what bands kind of let me know that it was okay. And like, yeah. So Spandau Ballet, they just did a series of records in the 80s and they were like all mostly 8 tracks. I was like, cool. Well, if it's okay for the ballet, it's all right for me.
Oh, yeah.
So,
awesome.
Words to live by.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back with Jeremy to talk about the singles and the recording process and heaps more coming up now. This is the latest single, Still Want You Around Me, and then a tasty Hazel May jam. You're listening to Emerge, 11:97 AM, digital radio and phoenixradio.com.au. We've got some more questions about the album.
Are you ready?
You know what? I'm ready. I'm actually I'm the world's leading source on information about this particular record.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No way.
So Callum's pretty up there. He tries to be at least.
Well, after this session, you will be equally qualified. So
bless you.
We'll
We'll get a certificate written too.
Yeah, there's a graduation ceremony. It's gonna be really cool. So.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
You've dropped 2 singles from the release so far. How did you go about selecting those singles? Was it a tough process?
It is tough because by the time the record's done, and I've heard every song 150 times, I think they're all great.
Oh, okay.
But then you have no perspective on what it's like for someone to hear the song for the first time, so you can't trust yourself. You know, like those movies where the poster's like, there's only one person you can trust, and because it's yourself. But in that situation, those movie posters,
It's everyone else.
incorrect. Yeah, it's anybody, literally anybody who is not you and who has not worked on the record.
So is that how you go about it?
Well, I mean, you kind of cast it to a panel. So give it to the guys at Remote Control, and they have a listen. And they're they're in the biz. They're a record label, so they have some ideas of what they think will fly. And then I gave it to a A&R guy for Rough Trade that I met when I was in New York. He's a really cool guy. I really trust his opinion. He's been in the biz for a long time, and he's like a big guitar music guy, because Rough Trade are like one of the last kind of big guitar record places. So yeah, I kind of gave it to a panel, a couple of friends. Ran it by the wife, but she was also like sick of hearing the songs in their like very formative stage. So she had no perspective on it as well, because she's like, I've heard you writing these songs, and I've heard you play like particular 10-second sections of these songs like so many times trying to figure out the lyrics. Like, I don't really think I can, yeah.
What did Alice say?
Yeah, well, she said meow, and then she answered a bunch of fan mails for me, which was really cool of her, but she had no opinion on the record itself.
Damn.
For anybody at home, Alice is my cat who answers my fan mail.
Unreliable secretary.
Yeah. It's real good egg though. Yeah, so that was the thing, like giving that panel, and like those suggestions came through, and I was like, yeah, this sounds like a good thing to do, like as far as the record went in general, like Everything I Do Is Replaced by Two is probably the most contemporary sounding song on there, so it was like that seemed like a pretty good thing. So I didn't get labeled as like a retro rock guy, which is a curse of my existence, but I did it to myself by outwardly doing that for a long time, because I thought it was funny. And then the sneaky up one was this, was the next one, Still Want You Around Me, because we had a second single called Tried and True that was going to be the second single, and then it got switched around like kind of last minute.
Okay.
Which was a weird one for me, because I thought Still Want You Around Me is very adult contemporary, and I didn't think would cut it. Like I love the song, but just didn't think it would take. So here we are. Did it take for you guys?
It does.
It's my favorite one of your songs.
All right. Okay. Well,
I love Velociraptor a lot, but this is my favorite one of your songs. So
damn. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, then maybe it did take. But
man.
it just takes a couple of listens or something. I think maybe that one.
It's surprising compared to a lot of your other discography, but it's certainly like it does show development. It does show like a lot of reflection, and I was surprised initially when you had Everything I Do Is Replaced by Two, and I think when you debuted it on 4%,
yeah,
I remember listening to that, and then I was like, oh, this is a lot different to what I was expecting. And you followed it up with this awesome track, and there's a lot of elements on it.
The verses are like a groovy, like slow, like soul number, which I wasn't expecting at all, but I'm all for.
Well, I think that's the addition of the team around it too. Like, as mentioned off air, like we got Simi LaCroix himself in the mix in the studio, and he kind of probably gave it a bit of edge like that. So
even the artwork's more edgy too.
Hey.
In a dynamic, it's no longer well, you had like a lot of cartoonish elements in previous ones, and not to suggest that it develops maturity, but it does show in essence that you're making more of a statement.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. I was trying to not sabotage myself by doing those things that I find really funny, but like aren't taken at face value by too many people, and it kind of hinders you. So I was like, I just want to do something that's a bit more straight up, and thankfully, like the photographer I work with all the time, Jeff Anderson Jr., he's a bit of a vision kind of guy too. He was like, yeah, let's just keep it all on this kind of vibe. So to match the intensity of the record as well, because I didn't want to do a, things are bad, but if it's funnier than it's bad, then it's okay. Here's a dinosaur, T-Rex, he's on the cover, which is very funny to me, but does sabotage the music sometimes. So a bit more straight up, a bit more aesthetic to match the intensity of the record, and hoping that all kind of says it more succinctly.
And how was the actual recording process for this album?
A lot of fun, which
that's always good to hear.
Yeah, which is I think can be it can be a hard thing as studio, because you're like trying to get things done in a certain amount of time, and you only have a certain amount of money to fund it, or and every kind of if it doesn't go well, it's like what do we do now? Like but had none of that on this record. Just had a great time. This is
Jeez.
just, the crew that I had working on it for most of the time. Like, we had extra guests come in, like Jamie Fry from Pool Shop came in and did some stuff,
Nice.
and Charles Sale came in for some stuff, and Seamus Albion came in for some sax. But
Whoa.
and Adrian Price as well came in as like regular Jeremy Neale band bass player as well. But our core group for most of the sessions was Josh Coxon, George Browning, Aidan Hogg, and myself. And
Mm.
so, we called ourselves the What If Boys in those sessions because we're like, what if we did this? And it was just a
Ooh.
very, it was just a very frenzied kind of, anything could happen.
Are you going all experimental on us?
There's
with this
nothing
record?
experimental about my music at all. It's what if, within the confine of, being true to the source work,
Mm.
I guess. Yeah. But you got to ask yourself, what if,
Right?
Yeah.
And so how did the process vary from your debut solo album?
I guess that was just maybe a bit more contained in the first one because that first record was really very much like me and the producer Miro Mackey, like workshopping everything in forms of like complete demos or production demos
Mm.
before taking it to the studio. And then that was like a bird's eye view, like we're getting this person in to come and recreate this part or put this vibe to it. But essentially it was all mapped out pre-studio.
Mm.
Yeah.
This one's been a bit more organic in its creation.
Totally. It's been like, well, here's the core of the song. What do you guys want to do with it? It's like, well, what if we did this? And then,
Mm.
So it's really fun way to work. Very lucky.
Which track on the LP was the toughest to finish in terms of writing or recording?
Oh, great question. I think the toughest one, mixing wise, I know was a song called. Now, if I knew all the names of the songs on the record, I would really be able to piece this together. I should have had that in front of me. Look, skipping that one, I'll come back to remember the name of that one.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think they're all quite hard to finish lyrically in a lot of ways because I had something I wanted to say and I really needed to a lot of the time I leave the second verse and I'm like, I'll get that done. I'll get that done. And so I think a lot of them kind of stumped me in that way, like the strength to carry stumped me in finishing that second verse. I think like time is the last song on the record, and it really stumped me. And it had this line that I didn't get until probably the end of the sessions, and it was it's the whole second verse actually, and it's just like, it's so cruel, you figure it out just in time for the ending. We've only got the cards we're dealt, and not all hearts can be mended. And I was like, I mean, that's like, I was like, oh, it's some kind of like symbolism thing in there. It's like, oh, cards, and like hearts are a suit in cards. And also, it's just like, it was just like a true kind of statement about life. It's just like,
sure.
you figure out everything too late. It's great. You know everything retrospectively because you live through it, but you can't offer that advice to your past self.
Not yet.
You're not yet, but maybe soon. And
Facebook of the future.
yeah, and it is true because you only have the cards you dealt, and not all hearts can be mended. There are people that you meet that you wish you could help and you can't. And maybe they'll figure it out and sort themselves out later, but you can't play a part in that. So I wanted to say a lot in not many words. Anyway, that was an example of like somewhere I got really stuck trying to finish this song and make it a bold statement.
And looking back at the record, I know you may potentially be sick of some of the tracks by now. But
no, I love it.
Is there a personal favorite, at least at the moment?
Well, until it was released as a single, Still Want You Around Me was my favorite. And then now I've probably through the process of the film clip editing and playing back, I've probably, burnt myself out a little bit on that track now. But I really like the song Time, which is the album closer. I'm big into that. And if I could remember the name of the song, I'm trying to remember from Before's story as well. It's called Hold Me Up. Okay, I really like a song on this album called Hold Me Up. It's a little bit Ramonesy or something, but it's big time.
Yeah. Sick. And if you only had a few words to describe this album, very famous question, which few words would you use?
Great question. Look, I want to say empathetic. It is a record of kindness, like self-kindness.
Mm.
So empathetic is my first word. I want to say heavy, not in musical tone, just in like lyrical tone. And then juxtaposition light, because some of it sounds really light. And yes, these are my 3 not very well thought out words. Empathetic,
Poetic, man.
heavy, simultaneously light. Here we are.
You've sold me, man. You know what? I'm gonna listen to the new record, Jeremy.
That is very kind of you. That's super kind. So thank you.
It's quite all right. We'll be right back with Jeremy to talk some broader questions with just some random
Just
stuff.
shooting the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't
Ow.
swear on here, can we?
You can.
You can if you give me a sign so I can say language warning.
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you can, yeah.
I'll just alter all my phrases. So shooting the stuff is the new
We're coining it.
Pow pow.
pow pow.
This is the first single, the lead single taken from Jeremy's sophomore LP. You can hear in full on the 28th of this month. This is Everything I Do Is Replaced by Two, and then Harmon.
Harmon.
I'm so sorry, Harmon. With an absolute belter, an absolute classic, a new color, which we haven't played in what feels like forever. You're listening to Emerge, 11:97 a.m. Digital Radio 11.
PhoenixRadio.com.au.
Yeah.
And that was Harmon with a new color. If you have not seen that music video yet, you got to sort yourself out, dude.
Well, if they go through the Emerge tracks of the evening for the past, I don't know, like 3 years,
we
about
would have
find,
posted
like,
it a couple of
about
times,
90
I reckon.
separate links
Yeah.
to that one video.
Maybe
It's
we
a
could
great
do
video.
a director's commentary kind of style one where
Ooh.
the song plays lightly in the background. You describe what's happening on screen in the
Mm.
video at the time.
Perfect for radio.
Perfect for
I'm
radio.
feeling it,
It's a
dude.
new War of the Worlds.
Oh, and just as impacting as well.
Truly.
Jeremy, we've got a couple more questions for you.
Oh,
You've
for
been
me?
so lovely talking about your new album, but these are some more general ones.
Hmm.
Which release have you listened to most in the last 12 months?
Look, because I'm a real singles guy. I was just trying to figure that out before, because I think my most listened to song of last year is Holiday Party's No One.
Okay.
And I think, as I mentioned off air to you, Russell, is Psycho's track
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker being
Ooh.
my most listened to song so far of this year.
So catchy.
So catchy.
Ridiculously so.
Killer
So good.
bass line.
Ah, just loving it all. Production's out of control.
Oh, yeah.
Which relatively recent Queensland release have really stood out to you? If you want to describe that even as like a live performance or as a single, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking like the last record I went deep on was on Callan's suggestion of Jensen's last record.
Oh,
So
Hyacinth.
yeah, which is a cool time. And I think like I'm trying to think. This is my I keep my like Brisbane list of stuff I like, or my Queensland list. Oh, actually, another good song. This is you guys heard that Betty Ray's song Bloodhound?
I actually haven't,
I've
no.
not.
I don't know how I
I know
came
the
across
band,
this. This song, I just like it has the best opening line, right? And it's like, I'm always running, so I never get left behind. And I was just like, that's
Huh.
really great. I find that quite profound. For some reason, that made me addicted to the song. Yeah, but I don't know if that answers any of your questions. I'm just
No,
rambling about songs I like from
fair enough.
recent listening
Ramble on,
history.
please.
Ramble on. Yeah, I think, have you guys heard Phoebe Sinclair as well?
I have heard
Ooh,
Phoebe Sinclair.
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
Stunning voice.
Just, yeah, out of control voice and just such a talented pop writer. Like, yeah, anyway, that's my piece of advice.
And what is the best performance or show that you've witnessed in the last year?
Well, actually, one that Russell also attended
Oh, wow.
was Eric Andre.
So awesome.
Throwing a curveball in there.
Yeah.
What made it stand out?
It was just fun. I had a really fun time, and it was ridiculous. And DJ Doug Pound as an opener, also just so stupid.
It
Is
was.
that
You could like flatline your mind.
Truly, you could. That is a great way to put it. That's exactly what you could do.
yeah.
We saw a trailer for the new movie coming out,
Oh
and
yeah.
toward the end, he put out a fan's phone and kept trying to FaceTime the fan's mum, who eventually picked up, and we could all say hello to the fan's mum.
How'd that go?
Because they
Seamlessly. Yeah.
amazingly, he was doing a sketch where he kept typing out messages of whatever was prompted on the iPhone, like capture.
Like auto prompt.
Oh,
Or you could
okay.
just be like, yeah, this word, and it pumps out a sentence.
Ah.
And he's clearly got it down to an art because it must for him get the same reaction from every mom, and then to the point where then they call because they're worried about their kid, and then he takes the call, and then the kid's trying to convince
Mum.
that everything's okay, right? Like, and then
It's
to say hello to everybody because he's at a comedy show. It's very weird, but it all worked out. I think that Eric Andre just kind of whips everybody into a frenzy as well. So no matter what happened, we would have still had a good time at that point.
That's for sure. It was really fun.
And do you ever go to a cooking record, Jeremy?
This would imply me cooking more than I do. I don't think so. Have you got one? What's your?
Oh, it changes, but I mean, yeah, this answer will be a bit boring to anyone that listens to the show or knows me well. But my latest music obsession is also my cooking record, cooking playlist, and it's Twin Peaks, Chicago band that I've been sleeping on.
You love Chicago. You were a big Chicago guy.
No, not really. Not only since last November or so. I've gotten into this band,
Chirac, we call it.
What is that?
Chirac. It's because they had more murders than in Iraq in like 2016, 2017.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Chicago.
Yeah, more than Iraq.
What's going on?
A lot. But clearly it makes some art.
Yeah.
Mine's the Don, personally.
Oh, look.
Oh,
obviously. Yeah. I mean,
nothing can beat the Don.
that went without saying. I think we can all, but we should say it. So yeah, the Don.
Yeah, if you guys still haven't listened to Donny Benet, I gotta thank you because I'm pretty sure you turned me on to Donny Benet and Alex Cameron.
Hey,
Who've become two of my
obsessed.
favorites.
So,
what did you think of the latest Alex Cameron record? Did you listen to that?
I have not spent much time with it, so I should do that. I got this big catch-up time. As I was telling you guys, like the only way been listening to music is from your playlist from this show.
I'll sneak it into the Emerge
if
playlist.
you could, and or if the Grain guys can put it on their playlist, then that's how I'll catch up on.
Is the Grain one only local, or is that a bit more varied?
It's a bit national as well, but
All right.
not often international. Someone's got to
Get
give
on
me
it,
like
Grain.
an international curated playlist. Yeah, and then
I
that'll have it
I
all.
can get on that.
You could
man.
call it Diverge.
Yeah, nice.
And if you could write the soundtrack to any film, TV, or video game, which would you pick and why?
Whoa, I'd want it to just be something real chill. Like I just want some time to go, like in an Enya style studio and just make like really lush, reverbed, 80s synth kind of things. A little bit of a Celtic tinge for the reasons I can't really understand. Just because that Enya's in my DNA.
Yeah.
So probably just give me like, one of those like general kind of like medieval series kind of TV shows, and just let me make what I think the soundtrack should be based on that Enya obsession, and we'll just see where we end up.
Sounds glorious.
Yeah, I don't know. Next Vikings series, I think they're up to season 7 or 8 or something.
I'm all about it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You got any extra questions, Russell? Any off the dome?
None off the dome so far. I think Jeremy's been very conclusive with a lot of his answers, and it's just enthralling to watch him. So I haven't actually had my mind on. Like, they've just been processing everything he's been saying.
Do you have a dream instrument to help to play?
Look, I unsuccessfully tried to learn saxophone a few years ago. Trying to get the sax player in my band to teach me. It's just because you can't practice the sax anywhere because it's so loud.
Yeah.
So you've really got to be in a warehouse, which doesn't happen as often as you'd think. So, yeah, I think that I would like to be slightly better at piano. When I was in New York, I spent a bit of time with piano, so I got a bit better. But I would like to be impressive,
Yeah.
which is probably never going to happen for me, but I'd like it.
It's all in your self-belief, dude.
You know what? It is self-belief, but it's self-belief with a self-belief by
Bit of
the
not
equation
giving
is Time, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Yep.
then I think it's Self-Belief by Time by probably not even an internal
Wait,
motivation.
I'm writing this down. Wait.
And I think it's a combination of internal and external motivation. You got to have somebody whipping
Yeah.
you to get it done, I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Otherwise, you'll just kind of coast it. You know?
Yeah.
What do you guys got? What's your dream instrument?
Wow.
I am the
I don't
dream
know.
instrument.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
extremely slowly, embarrassingly slowly learning the bass.
That's nice.
So I mean, I'll start at that.
That's why I like that psycho bass line so much, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like, I could play that
Yeah.
in the future. Yeah, in
In
2022.
a couple of years. Yeah.
I got a piano
I'll
and
be
a
slapping the
guitar now,
bass.
but I think the instrument I really want to learn, I want to learn how to beatbox just a little bit better. Just be able to use that as like looping material and stuff. Or
Just to hold your own in a battle should it arise.
Yeah,
yeah,
You got to be prepared.
exactly.
Gonna happen, dude.
I'm out on the streets all the time. I need to be prepared to beat
Yeah.
the box.
Always
Yeah.
got to be prepared.
Fantastic. I think we have one more question.
We do.
One more final question.
Oh, damn.
If you had to name one, and you have to, by the
Oh,
way,
damn.
name one artist that has had the biggest influence on you, either personally or musically. Who
Yeah,
would
I
you
mean,
pick and why?
it's interesting because there are ones that I would say that were very early on, but I think that like it's pretty huge when a band can like really kind of change your trajectory later on. You
Mm.
know, like because there's always the formative ones that were kind of just given to you, but then ones that find you on the way. So I think that like the biggest thing for me has been finding the band. It was probably maybe it's even 5 years ago now, but Prefab Sprout, like 80s band,
Oh, okay.
just can't get enough of. Very sensitive, empathetic, like sophistopop, you know, like those kind of jazz tinged chords, but everything is it's like very clever, but it's still very pop.
Mm.
And I think like that's made a huge point to the fact that the song on this record, the title track, we were trying to make it out, is kind of very, in my mind, representative of that influence on the music, that their influence on me musically, and then it became the title of the record. So I think that that's been a huge thing in the last few years. So Prefab Sprout. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Hey,
Another sweet recommendation.
hey, look, you know, put it in your retro playlist when
Yeah.
you make that after you make the international.
Oh yes,
one.
please.
In Verge.
Yeah,
And
that's it. That's it.
Just because I forgot to add it earlier. What else can we expect from you this year,
Well, I mean,
or in the not too distant future, or the distant future?
look, the distant future. I don't know how distant it is, but Velociraptor are making a new record, so we're back.
You finally get my letters, huh?
Yeah, that's right. So we have recorded probably like 70% of the new record. So we've gone a bit ham, and there's like 20 tracks in the mix. So we got to figure out what we're doing there.
Double
like,
album, baby.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it's the big. It's like, do we just dump it all and
The
then
answer's always double
just
album.
double up? Okay, well then solved. So that'll be the end of the year. So we'll start the path to that. You know,
Sounds
probably
glorious.
August or so, and then the record will come out Christmas, I guess. Merry
Ooh.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Another Christmas album from Jeremy Neale.
I'm working on that slowly.
Yes.
Awesome.
And mate, thanks for coming all the way in. It's been an absolute dream come true. To have
Anytime.
you in the
Thank you.
studio,
I've
mate.
had the best time. So thanks for looking after me.
Any time.